Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to be bringing you something from Jennifer Layte and her new book, Follower: How Getting Close to Jesus Brings You to Yourself. I was privy to an early draft of Jennifer's book, and she was able to do a really great Kickstarter project and raise a whole bunch of money to get this book going. I'm just so proud of her and this kind of Herculean effort it took to get this book done. It's out now, it's by Credo House Publishers, and I want to read some of it to you. First, I'll read to you a little bit about who Jen is. If you're not familiar with her already, I have been part of her winter solace winter retreat for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. I'm losing track of it. Something that's been really nice to begin the year off in January. And so I've been in touch with Jennifer for a few years now. And I'll read the back of the book. You might see my kitty in here. This is Sylvie. She wants to be a part of everything that's happening here, so she's my special assistant. Jennifer A.G. Layte is an online spiritual director, in-person pastor, and founder of The Pilgrimage, an online spiritual formation community. Her background in literature and theology gives her imaginative ways of retelling stories of the Bible and of others, encouraging people to live within their own stories better. She's an amateur artist and the author of 2 novels, Trees in the Pavement and Favored One. Jennifer lives with her husband, Paul, and their 2 rescue dogs in the rural burbs of New England. And so what she's doing here is following the life and the transformation of Peter in order that we might get a better picture of ourselves and of who Jesus is and how we can be transformed. And I want to read an excerpt to give you a taste of the book here. And it was hard to decide what to choose. I'm going to actually first show you, for those who can see this, the contents. And let's see if I can get that up there. I hope you can see that. I'll read what the contents are of the book. There's a foreword that's by Trey, Pastor Trey. He's a good friend, Trey Ferguson, pastor of the Intentional Church and the author of Theologizing Bigger. Sweet friend. So there's the foreword, the introduction, why this book and how to use it. And then chapter 1, a new job and a new name. Gone fishing is chapter 2. Chapter 3, if it's you. Chapter 4, what's in a name. Chapter 5, mountaintop experience. Chapter 6, let down. Chapter 7, a new job all over again. Chapter 8, thanks for the gift. Chapter 9, unexpected sheep. Chapter 10, work in progress. Chapter 11, I Gotta Rock. Then an epilogue, appendix, acknowledgments, and so on. So I'm going to read to you just a short bit from chapter called Let Down, page 75. And it's about identity. And I think I cover that quite a bit in what I do. So I hope this will touch you. It's just a short little bit, but I hope that I'm trying to support Jen and what she does. And what I'm hoping is that we can do a live stream. I don't know when that'll happen. We can do a live stream where everybody comes. You can listen to a reading. I'll do a little interview with Jen. You can ask questions maybe, and it'll be sort of an interactive live thing. I could have her on the podcast, but the Spark My Muse podcast isn't so much about those things that are in the book. However, I feel like there's a lot of important things that are in here that I definitely want to share. And so let's start here on page 75. God is the one who determines a human's identity, not just our names, but what those names mean. Jesus spoke into the expectation of self or community determination. Peter had named him correctly, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. But neither Peter nor anyone else had the authority to define what that name or identity meant. Peter assumed, as surely as any of us would have, that Messiah, especially Son of the living God, meant sweet success from now on. To his consternation, Jesus informed him, "It means I'm going to suffer and die." It means I lay aside my rights. I lay down who you want me to be and who I might prefer to be. And if you want to keep being transformed into someone like me, you're going to have to do the same thing. We humans are not great. We humans are great at not understanding or not hearing or misinterpreting things we don't like the sound of. We don't want to face hard or scary truths, even if it scares us. And if it scares us enough, we do whatever it takes to convince ourselves that the meaning of something isn't the true meaning at all. For once, Jesus wasn't speaking in parables. There was nothing metaphorical about his impending suffering and death. But his disciples needed a way to manage their fears. So rather than asking Jesus about it, they just decided he didn't mean what he was saying. They didn't understand, partially because their idea of Messiah didn't include the possibility of his suffering and death, but mostly because they didn't want to. They found ways to prove that their own understanding was right. Besides, by now Peter, James, and John have seen Jesus transfigured before their eyes in glorified form. They got to see a glowing Jesus hanging out with Moses and Elijah, even though Peter's idea to set up a base camp on the mountaintop for the three dignitaries got shot down, or let's be honest, totally ignored. He took the Epiphany as yet another sign that yes, Jesus is the Messiah, Son of the living God, which means triumphant, obviously, because Jesus said that stuff about rising from the dead. If Peter was already thinking that the Messiah's death was metaphorical, maybe it just meant that they were going to go through hard times, which was of course to be expected. It's not hard to imagine, quote, raising from the dead, unquote, as metaphorical too. Something like, things are going to get tough for a while, but then we will triumph, unquote. Besides, Peter, James, and John had discussed the meaning of raising from the dead in front of Jesus, and he hadn't corrected them. Triumphant must be who Jesus really is. And because Peter was so invested in maintaining that image of the Messiah, the Son of the living God, his own transformation got stuck. So that's a little taste of follower. I love this little upside down sheep and these little sheep here. It's quite sweet. And we learned from Jen that Peter is like a lot of us. He really wants to do the right thing. Sometimes he gets stuck or confused. And in his transformation, he finds out his true identity. And he finds out the true identity of Jesus. So I hope you will be interested in getting the book by Jen. I will leave the links and everything, and of course, the links to what she does as a spiritual director and a teacher and a pastor. She also does other things to help us transform, including the Pilgrimage, which is an online spiritual community for formation, and she does spiritual direction. And Stepping into the Story is another one of her efforts that you can go along with and learn and develop more. And I will link and explain those things in the body of this post so that you can connect with her and make sure you don't miss out. That's it for now.